And welcome back to the Shotgun Mcpayne Awards pre-show. And we're down to the final category before the show starts. So, without further ado, let's take it away. And the nominees are Hiking, Biking, and Yiking Simulator, Ninja Soul, Persona Emblem Switch, Yakuza with Detectives. And the winner is the amount of hate mail I'll get for this compared to the amount of hate mail I got for liking The Last Jedi. 2018 was a bit rough in the beginning. There were only a few games to speak of that were true gems, but it actually turned out to be a pretty damn good year for video games. While everything on my list wasn't a 10 out of 10, it felt like the first time in a long time I could just enjoy a game for what it was without getting into the water cooler discussion. It felt like a slow year, but a much needed one at that. The 2010s felt like a fever dream, with us getting long-awaited games in development hell, through reinventions of beloved series that made them more beloved. The great thing about this year being that there were so many games in the Game of the Year talk that I could make arguments for a plethora of games being Game of the Year. Now I want to stipulate that these are my personal favorites of the year. You might get mad at me, might think, Nick, why didn't you put Sekiro on this list? Nick, why didn't you put Death Stranding on this list? Well, this is my list that I had so far. They may be on later, but as of right now, this is my Game of the Year list definitively. So, without further ado, let's just jump into it. That was weird. I'm not going to do that. Sorry, Philly D. Number 10. I love the idea of biker gang culture and the zombie craze. So when I heard about Days Gone, I thought, what a novel concept. When it initially released, however, I was speaking a different tune. So much so that I even made a video about it on this very channel. You can check it out. You should check it out. It was buggy, unpolished. It was just a mess. However, during that summer, I had some time on my hands, while other games were yet to release. I delved deeper into its story and gameplay loop and fell in love. The kind of love that you know is fleeting, but you enjoy the time you had. You know, summer love. Days Gone was a survival game at its heart, and it wears its influences on its sleeve, with games like Far Cry and State of Decay being big ones. The survival aspects being so tense, but not impossible, scrounging for anything from cans to ammo, barely making it out of any encounter alive, especially when the hordes are introduced. Days Gone is far, far from a masterpiece, but it provided me with one of the most uniquely fun experiences this gen, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Numero 9. The beautifully dark and dystopian future of Katana Zero. I heard about Katana Zero way back in 2015, at the start of my love for all things cyberpunk and 80s future-inspired media. We talking Blade Runner, we talking Akira, we talking the Blade Runner video game, you know, some real seminal shit. Katana Zero is a side-scrolling action game with the style of games like Hotline Miami. You go in, and your only instructions are to clear the room in any way possible, no questions asked. Except for that one question where you're asked basically if you're Pikachu, and you say yes because, you know, Pikachu cosplay, whatever. But if you say you're not Pikachu, then things go south real fast. So I guess peeky, I'm going sneaky. Only in this game, we're getting a little wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey in this neo-noir bitch, as you get to control time and space to your will. However, the truly satisfying goal is to get as creative as you can with the kills, so you can see it in a highlight reel at the end. I couldn't wait for this game to come out, and boy, the game did not disappoint in the slightest. Katana Zero was such a thrill to play, and I can't wait for round 2 someday. It's an amazing romp from beginning to end. Slicing and dicing, slishing and slashing, it's all here. Now we talking number 8. Kingdom Hearts. It's Kingdom Hearts 3. Is this a surprise, really? I mean, it was gonna be on my list anyways. It's my favorite game series. My first video was Kingdom Hearts inspired. My journey to Kingdom Hearts 3 has been a long and arduous process, and you've seen the video. And if you haven't, you should check it out. It's real good. For the past 15 years, Tetsuya Nomura has been feeding us nothing but Kingdom Hearts spin-offs. And now we finally get to 3. You know my love's gotta run deep for this franchise where Goofy gets domed in the head by a rock and almost dies, while Mickey's over to the side listening to the My Chemical Romance Greatest Hits album. So now you're probably asking yourself, say Nick, I done did hear that you like them Kingdom Hearts or some shit, like why is this one so low? It's cause I'm not a shill! I'm not a shill, that's why! Just kidding, I know multiple different versions of each Kingdom Hearts game plus the manga. I guess that makes me a shill? Well, boys and germs, it's time to tell you the truth. I done did get hit with that disappoint. No, it's not bad. Otherwise it wouldn't be on the list. It's just not as satisfying of an ending as I wanted for the saga. It's still a great game. The worlds are more open and expansive than ever. Combat has a multitude of possibilities this time around. And every time I see the Roxas gang, I just want to stick 2 sea salt ice creams in my eyes to numb the pain! Sure, you can make the argument that, I don't know, Nick, you seem to have a lot more grievances with the game than positives, and you know, you're probably right. But you know what you forgot? I own the same copies of the Kingdom Hearts manga for 15 years and I'll never let them go. But in reality, I'm also hoping that the upcoming Remind DLC will make it better and it'll jump to number 1 of all Tisity time. Okay, thank you for coming for my TED Talk. Bye! Number 7! I've been a relatively big fan of the Borderlands franchise since it came out a couple years ago, and... Wait, what? Are you serious? A decade? It's been a decade? Holy shit! Borderlands 2 was my jam back in the day, and it's been 7 years since a new numbered entry in the series has been released. Thus, we have Borderlands 3. In the past 7 years, the Borderlands formula has bled into other games, basically being the first step into what we call today as the games as a service genre. Games like Destiny, Division, Anthem, and others have aped the looter shooter formula that Borderlands had started way back in the day. I wondered how Borderlands 3 would innovate upon its unique brand of looter shooter for 2019. The answer? It doesn't really. It just seems to end up borrowing from games that borrowed from it. But honestly, that's okay. Borderlands gameplay loop is smooth. It's so fluid that I can ignore the fact that there's dick and fart jokes every 2 seconds. I mean, this is the one-track meme machine. Its comedy is like your dad going on TikTok. Like maybe he's got a few things that he subscribed to that are likable, but at the same time, most of it's just the hello fellow kids sort of thing with Fortnite dances and such. But underneath all that is an insanely fun looter shooter experience that gets even more fun with the more friends you add. And it's a game that makes me want to go back to the end game. I mean, what can I say? It's Borderlands. There's not much more to say. It's fun. Go play it. Number 6. This one goes to the most recent addition to my list, Ape Out. I got it on a whim during the winter break, and ended up loving it. The indie game market of the 2010s has turned out some of my favorite games of the last decade. Most of that is given to the nature of it, where you only have to spend a small chunk of change, and they can afford to be a little bit more experimental than the AAA market. And Ape Out has that really addictive loop that I look for in indie games. The kind of repetitive loop that I've got from games like Rogue Legacy, where I just want to play it for hours and hours, getting a better high score, getting out of there fast. To set the stage, you're this ape trying to get out of a facility with jazz music playing behind you, and it changing as you wreak havoc. The game is so stylish. Every level having a title that pops up in-game in a different way each time, and even down to the music going along with your playstyle. Super jazzy, super stylish, super fun. It's Ape Out. Number 5. Control. Previously, with Ape Out, we talked about style, but this game is so unique, I can't find words to compare it. Remedy as a studio has its ups and downs for me, Alan Wake being their last game that I really thoroughly enjoyed. But man, they have truly outdone themselves in this one. This is definitely my favorite Remedy game, by far. It ends up being a mix of all the best parts of Remedy games. The weird atmosphere of Alan Wake, the superpower mechanics of Quantum Break, and the absolute insanity of Max Payne. You're immediately dropped into the shoes of Jessie Faden as she tries to find her way through this building only known as the Oldest House. She quickly becomes the director of this mysterious organization called the Federal Bureau of Control, and must uncover the secrets that the Oldest House hides behind its walls. The gameplay is sort of like a pseudo Metroidvania where you go around the oldest house and uncover all these different superpowers like some X-Files Superman with a gun. And it gets really trippy. I mean, if you like things like X-Files or Twin Peaks or anything sort of weird, I think you owe it to yourself to check out this game. It's beautifully unique and wholly original, and I doubt we'll get anything like it anytime soon. And yes, the ashtray maze is everything that everyone says it is. And more. Honestly, it's just worth it to play it for that alone. Number 4? Who knew that yet another reinvention of Tetris would be on my list at the beginning of the year?
Hey, look at us.
Look at us. Huh? Who would have thought? Not me.
And even at that, also being one that's a battle royale. I have to admit something. I was straight addicted to this game for a couple months. When at any point I found extra time to jump into something, I found myself instead jumping into Tetris 99. I avoided my backlog. I avoided the new games that were coming out just to get a couple rounds in, so maybe I would get that number 1 slot. There's something so biologically satisfying about the gameplay of Tetris. Fitting different pieces together until they mesh so perfectly is like a drug to me. Like, if I had the chance, just inject me a Tetris. Take that and add the fact that you're at a race against time with 98 other people. It gets tense. And every time you just think, oh, it was so close, I could have won, I gotta go another one. But in actuality, you didn't even get into the game before someone beat your sorry ass. Tetris 99 is so inherently fun. Thanks to the fact that Tetris has always been fun in such a primal level. And the fact that the Battle Royale genre, for all its goods and bads, has bled into it and made this stellar game. They keep adding so many different themes, so many different challenges, split screen multiplayer. It's such a fun game. Guys, get out there and play it. If you have Nintendo Online, you have Tetris 99. Try it out. Number 3. Life is Strange is an incredible game turned exceptional series. Don't Nod Entertainment has been on my radar since the release of the game Remember Me. I could tell they just had cool game concepts, and they weren't afraid to experiment a little bit. It really wouldn't have paid off for me until the release of the first Life is Strange game. And that's mostly due to its original take on the coming-of-age story, incorporating supernatural elements in its gameplay. The writing in the first game is amazing. Chloe and Max quickly became 2 of my favorite video game characters. Then, naturally, they announced Life is Strange 2 last year. I thought, how? How are they going to continue the story? Oh man, they're going to run into the ground, aren't they? But Don't Nod knew very much what they were doing. Life is Strange 2 feels like a very natural extension of the series. And now that I know that it's an anthology series, I can kind of understand where they're coming from. These core elements, themes, and worlds stay the same, but everything else is completely new. The tragic backstory of Sean and Daniel Diaz followed me throughout each passing episode, and by the end, I could really feel the weight on their shoulders, along with all the people they met along the way, including, especially, but not limited to, one Brody, who you meet in the first episode. You the MVP! Every decision shaped your Sean and Daniel, so there were times where I debated my choice for a good 10 minutes. Life is Strange is a series that's often overlooked, and it's a real shame, because its story is something that is so powerful, something you can get so invested in. If you haven't already, I urge you to check it out. And for you Xbox people, all of them are on Game Pass, so it's just a quick $10 and you got them all. We're getting down to number 2. This decade has treated us with some great remakes, whether it be visually in the case of Shadow of the Colossus, or with mechanical revamps in the case of the Insane trilogy. It's been a great couple of years for nostalgia. Then, RE2 Remake comes out and blows the concept of what a remake can be out of the water. My love for this series goes pretty deep. I remember getting Resident Evil 4 on GameCube from one of our local secondhand video game stores. I was absolutely terrified by it and put it down for months, but also realized how invigorating of an experience it was. So I went back and loved it. I mean, Resident Evil 4, one of the greatest games of all time, guys. In the early 2000s internet culture, you couldn't escape the Leon S. Kennedy hype. We're talking Friendster, we're talking Google Images, we're talking YouTube music videos dedicated to this man. I went back and played the originals, I jumped to 5, anticipated the release of Resident Evil 6. Oh, Resident Evil 6. An underwhelming game to say the least, but I still remember the hype cycle I had for this game. Getting to high school on the day of the announcement and seeing that logo, you know, the one that the internet likes to remind me of it looking like a giraffe getting a blowjob. Yeah, that kind of game. And with that, I thought it could mark the end of the Resident Evil franchise as we knew it. Then we got the exquisite reboot of the franchise that is Resident Evil 7. And with it, the Capcom renaissance that we live in currently. Which brings us to Resident Evil 2 Remake. A game so different from the original that it made me feel like a game that could have come out this year. But it still somehow felt rooted into the vibes of the original game. And I even ended up beating it 6 different times trying to get that platinum trophy. Again, I say, it changed what it meant to be a remake. Along with improving on Resident Evil 2, it has just improved on the Resident Evil formula entirely. It brought back the nostalgic terror I felt when I played Resident Evil 4 for the first time. But just like those games, I became more comfortable with the hallways as I went on. But then, something peculiar happened. Just when I got super comfortable with the game, it pulled the helicopter out from under me, and Mr. X comes up and punches me. I don't know, it's like I took his fedora or something. The murder machine, known only as Mr. X, brings an unending dread to this game, but it's not super overwhelming either. It's just tense enough to where you're looking around each corner, hoping that you don't encounter him. The remake takes everything you love about the original and brings it into the idea of modern game design. It's an absolutely brilliant addition to the renaissance Capcom has been having over the last couple of years, and I hope it continues with RE3 Remake coming out in just a few short months. Now, Resident Evil 2 Remake was my number one for most of the year, and honestly, it probably will be, depending on when you ask me. But as of right now, I'm really feeling this one. Number one! This game that I love so much, the series that I love so much. I'm of course talking about my number one pick. Drum roll, please. Oh shit, wrong tape. Alright, here we go. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. So, what do I have to say about this new game? Well, it feels bland, something that's not pushing the envelope. Unfortunately, it doesn't give me the vibes that I want them to. A game that's not perfect, but I love every second of. I've loved Star Wars ever since I was a little lad, but as of recently, I'm becoming more and more disenfranchised with the series, and just outright cynical between a jumbled trilogy and the fact that we haven't really even got a solid game from the Star Wars franchise since EA acquired the license in 2013. That, added to the not so stellar couple of years EA's had with some of its own franchises, had me super worried. However, when I got my hands on this, I had no idea what I was in for. It was something that I always wanted. It was a Souls-like game in the Star Wars universe, and I was absolutely blown away. The combat was much more than mashing buttons, having combos and lightsaber throws, which gets increasingly more deep as you journey throughout the game. The Mantis crew felt so at home in the Star Wars universe, even in a tale we've explored so many times at this point in the Star Wars canon. Things like experiencing flashbacks to Cal and his master when he was in training every time you get a Force ability, not only developed Cal's journey, but even helped to flesh out this world that we know so much about already. It's so little, but also something so brilliant for its storytelling in the long run. It was all so good, and it was the only game that this year that I actually got the Platinum Trophy for. Respawn definitely gets the Dev of the Year award in my mind. How they expertly crafted two of the biggest releases of the year under EA's banner is beyond me, and I truly think they should be commended for what they've done with the short time they've been as a developer. Not to mention they created the best little droid that there is in the galaxy. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. With how quickly they've released Absolute Gold, and what is one of, if not my favorite Star Wars game to date. And I can't wait for a potential sequel. Let's just keep salting though, boys. Let's just, come on, greasy money. Well, that's it. 2019 is officially over. What started out as a back and forth from lackluster to great, ended up being a pretty solid year. With so many games that I never got around to, or didn't put enough time in. It was a great year, but a different sort of way than previous years. There's so many really solid games in 2019. with there not being a super standout one like previous years with God of War and Red Dead Redemption. A year where multiple game outlets have such different game of the years is really cool. It's truly a great time to be a gamer. Now that it's January, that's the slow season, I can catch up on some games, I can look at my backlog. I mean, what's 2020 gonna be? Another excellent year for video games? Pfft. Oh shit. Hey guys, thanks once again for watching one of my goofy little videos. I just want to say thank you for all your patience. This video was kind of rough trying to get it out due to rendering. I really appreciate your patience in this hiatus. Specifically, taking the month off is kind of what I needed to kind of figure out what this channel is and what I want to do with it. I'm gonna try to keep my same schedule that I have every month. Just this video unfortunately had to go up today, which is Monday, as of time of recording. If you do like this video, please leave a like or a comment or something. I kind of want to gauge if this video style is something that people enjoy. If not, I'll try to go more to my video essays, but I kind of like to branch out either way, so I'm not super overwhelmed with all the video essays, because I put so much emotion into that and it's draining. And sometimes it's just fun to kick back and do a jokey sort of video like this every once in a while. And I also want to say, you guys have been commenting some super sweet stuff. I really appreciate it. This is something that I'm really passionate about, and I'm glad it's reaching some people. So again, I can't thank you all enough. And as always, take care. And I love y'all.